What's up, guys? I want to show you how to assemble the Riden RD6024. 60 is how many volts you can do max, which is 60 volts, and this particular model is 24 amps max. They make one that's 30 amps. I'm in the US. We have 120 volts at the outlet, so the grid is kind of low, and I didn't want to pull that many amps overall, with the power supply from the wall, from the grid. In Europe, it makes more sense to get the 30 amp version, but here 24 is enough for me. I'm gonna do things a little differently here than you may have seen in other videos. The power supply is basically fully assembled, and there's not much to show other than how the connections are made and give you some tips. I went around and I looked at different sources out there, and I found the best way of doing things, plus a unique thing that I have not found anywhere, but I firmly think that this is the way to do this particular thing, which I'll get to in a second. All right, so again, the whole thing's assembled. I don't need to show you how to assemble each individual piece. The main things are where you put the switch in. I chose to put the spades facing inward. This is for multiple reasons, but one is I prefer to have the off pointing inside and on pointing outside. It doesn't really matter so much, but I also wanted to kind of like not have the outer spade close to the case edge, and also how the cables are run. From the switch, you want to run your top spade from the AC power to one of the switches, and then you run the brown to the first peg onto the power supply terminal. That is, of course, your line. So this guy right here is the line. Then your middle one is ground, which is yellow. These, I believe, are European wiring standards. And your bottom one is neutral. And then over here, you got them in order. You got line, neutral, and ground. A pro tip that I did pick up in another video is to twist them together, because that keeps them nice and tight. You don't really need to do anything else. Just twist them together, and they will tuck in very nicely in here. To put the Wi-Fi board is pretty simple. Just make sure that it aligns to the bottom and side edge of the case. The battery underneath, it's a little bit confusing sometimes. You may think you need to put it in at a certain angle. Do not. Put it in flat and just push in the middle from the center, and it snaps right in and all is great. All right, so the main thing here is this part right here. I'm trying to get a good angle. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, so this is the DC power connection. It comes with female 4 connectors, and those should not be used. Do not use the 4 connectors, and I will show a small video of why that is a problem. This particular model has a new terminal type. I don't know if this is found on any others. Like the lower ones, like the 6012 and whatnot, they have like a block, a green block that comes out, and you put these wires into it, and then it just pops in. But these newer models, and I don't know if it's on the entire series, but on the 6024 and the 6030, and possibly some others, this is a new style of terminal, which is these 2 posts. And they supply you with these fork terminal connectors, which they want you to, well, they don't want you to, because there's no instructions or anything for assembly. But basically, if you try to figure it out, you're gonna come up with something like this, which is really unsafe. I'm gonna show you why. So if you can see here, we are almost touching. This is DC, it can arc. It's also touching that resistor, whatever that part is, and it doesn't even fit in the case if you see it on the right. This is bent as much as it will. So this is not a good way to go about it, and I do not recommend that you do it. I actually recommend that you don't use these 4 clips at all. So I made the mistake of actually crimping them. These wires do come pre-stripped, so don't do what I did, because now I have to cut them off and re-strip the wires. You can save yourself some trouble by not using these at all. The kit comes with the spade male, which goes in here, which I'll show you right now how to install. So take these out. You're gonna need to take a screw out. So this is the way I recommend you install these. So this is the male spade connector, and you get two of them. And the other one you're gonna put the exactly same way. So do that, then don't do as I did, and put the stripped wires directly into here, and I'll show you how this works as I do this. I'm gonna cut these, restrip, and redo it. Kit ships with these L-shaped spade connectors. I don't know if you can see them. They're in there. Put them in at this angle, and then get yourself female spade connectors. And you can crimp both leads just the way it was intended to one per polarity, and then it connects very nicely. So here it is from different angles. So you can kind of see what I did, and it works very, very well. And it's also a quick disconnect. And then you just run them normally to the power supply. So you got two negatives, 1, 2, and two positives. Could you run it with just one of them per polarity? You probably could. I chose to keep two because that's the way it was intended. Now for the female spade connector, you want to use the blue. Strip your wires. You need to strip more than you think, and then try to get the sheathing from the wires in here. And use a quality crimper. The one I have will crimp here, and then also kind of like on the outside. It does. It has two crimping zones. This is the kit that I have, the iCrimp IWS30J with this head. Crimp in the middle, and this is one of the best crimpers out there because again, it crimps the whole area on two sides. So it crimps this part, which makes the mechanical connection, and then it kind of crimps part of the sheathing onto the wires themselves. And so if you can get part of the sheathing of the outer wires in there as well, it really makes for a really snug connection. Particularly because you're getting two wires in there per connector. So that's pretty much it. I hope this answered some questions that you may have for this new style of terminal connector. And here's the whole unit in one shot. Follow what you see, which is very simple. So you can freeze frame at any point. I'm rotating it slowly so you can see this, and you can also see my shirt. I also ran the temperature probe from here. I routed it in between these two. So this line, the temperature probe wire runs under it. So it keeps it down there. And then I kind of put it into this little space here. That doesn't matter if it stays in there, but because it's in here like that, that's gonna keep it down. So you don't need to use any tape. And then of course that connects to this guy right here. So you put this in first before you put the power supply in, then you just run the wire that way, and that connects to the control unit right there. So yeah, that's the neat way of doing it. I hope you found this video useful. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'm just putting it out there because I was a little confused, and I hope this provides a lot of information in one quick video. Enjoy.